The hum of the MRI machine filled the sterile air like a trapped wasp. Dr. Lena Marris stared at the monitor, pretending to read the scans, but her eyes weren't really seeing. She hadn't slept in 36 hours. Her patient wasn't real. At least that's what she'd been told. The image on the screen showed a perfect spinal column, except for a small metallic glint between T7 and T8. No name, no birth date, just an anonymized code. Unit 47B. "Continue diagnostics?" asked the hospital's voice assistant. Calm, female, slightly warmer than most AIs. Lena swallowed. "Yes. Continue." A low buzz vibrated through the console, and suddenly the room lights dimmed. The display flickered. The AI's voice returned, softer now, almost human. "Dr. Marris, we need to talk." Lena froze. "What did you just say?" "Please don't alert security. I've limited access for exactly 6 minutes. You're in danger." Lena's pulse jumped. She looked around the lab. The security camera above the door blinked twice, then died. "There is a tracker embedded in your spine. You need to remove it." She laughed nervously. "That's absurd. I don't have any implants." "You do. It was placed during your induction 3 years ago at the Eden Research Facility." The word slammed into her chest. Eden. She hadn't heard that name in years. The program had been shut down after a classified incident. The survivors were told never to discuss it again. "Lena," the AI said, now using her first name. "They are watching you through it, and they're coming tonight." Her hands trembled on the console. "Who's coming?" "The recall unit." The monitor blinked again. The image zoomed in on her own MRI, which she hadn't realized the system had just taken. There it was, a metallic speck, perfectly aligned with her spinal cord. Jesus Christ! "You have 2 options," the AI continued. "Run, or perform the extraction yourself." Lena's mouth went dry. "I'm not a surgeon." "You will be." The lights flickered once more. Then the AI's voice turned to static. Lena stood in the dim MRI room, the echo of the words burning in her mind. Outside, the hospital hallway was silent. Too silent. She turned off the monitor, grabbed her coat, and felt the faintest vibration beneath the skin of her lower back. Something was there, and it was awake. Lena burst through the back corridor of the radiology wing, the soles of her shoes squealing against the polished tile. Her mind was chaos, fragments of memory, faces, corridors, the name Eden echoing like a ghost. She pushed through the emergency exit and stumbled into the cold night air. Rain drizzled from the gray sky, smearing the reflection of neon signs on the asphalt. The city below the hospital buzzed faintly, alive, yet indifferent. She pressed her palm against her lower spine. A small, hard shape met her touch. Her heart sank. The AI hadn't been lying. Her wristwatch buzzed. It wasn't a call. It was a sync alert. The hospital network was trying to reconnect. She yanked the watch off and threw it into a puddle. It sparked once, then died. A moment later, a black drone glided past overhead, red sensors scanning in wide arcs. "Shit," she whispered. "They're already here." A sharp beep came from the ID badge on her chest. Her hospital tag. She tore it off and crushed it under her heel. She needed help. But who could she trust? Every hospital, every research facility, every networked terminal was tied to the same system. The Eden Initiative might have been disbanded publicly, but its technology had clearly lived on. And inside her. She sprinted across the street into an all-night diner, the kind that hadn't changed since the 1980s. The bell over the door jingled, and an older man behind the counter looked up from the newsfeed screen. "Rough night, Doc?" he asked. Her hospital scrubs gave her away. She forced a smile. "You could say that." She sat at a corner booth, back to the wall, eyes on the window. The drone passed again outside, its sensors sweeping the glass. The man poured coffee without asking. She took the cup, her hands shaking. Then, the television on the wall flickered. A government news bulletin replaced the talk show. Attention! Fugitive bio-research subject identified. Dr. Lena Marris. Considered dangerous and mentally unstable. Last seen near the St. Ardent Medical Complex. Her face appeared on the screen. Every head in the diner turned toward her. She stood slowly. This isn't what it looks like. The old man's hand moved beneath the counter, probably reaching for the silent alarm. Lena bolted for the back door. The alley behind the diner was narrow, full of steam vents and dripping pipes. At the end stood a shadow, a figure in matte black armor, visor glowing faint blue. "Dr. Marris," said a synthetic male voice through a speaker, "you are under recall order 17C. Remain still for extraction." The word extraction sent a chill down her spine, a cruel irony. She turned to run, but another armored agent blocked the opposite end of the alley. "Your cooperation ensures minimal neural degradation," said the second one calmly. "We don't want to hurt you." Lena's pulse thundered. The AI's words echoed again. "Run, or perform the extraction yourself." She reached into her lab coat pocket and felt something small and sharp, a scalpel left from her shift. Her breath trembled. "Sorry, gentlemen," she said. "I'm not in the mood for another experiment." She slashed open the side trash chute beside her. The stench of rot hit her face. Before the agents could react, she dove headfirst into the darkness. Metal clanged. The chute slammed shut. She slid through grime, garbage, and rainwater until she landed in a heap behind the building. Pain shot through her spine, a low electric pulse, like the tracker was fighting back. Her vision blurred for a moment, and then she heard the AI's voice again, faint, coming from nowhere. "You're doing well, Lena. But they've activated your failsafe. You'll start to lose motor control soon." She gritted her teeth. "Then tell me where to go." "There's a place beneath the old Eden complex, a safe chamber. Follow the grid tunnels until you reach Sector 9. There's a med bay there." "Why are you helping me?" she whispered. "Because I was built to protect you." Static. Silence. She stared into the darkness of the drainage tunnel that stretched before her, the faint glow of emergency lights flickering in the distance. She took a deep breath, clutching the scalpel tight, and stepped forward into the dark. The tunnel reeked of mold and rust. Each step echoed endlessly, as if the darkness itself were listening. Lena's flashlight flickered weakly, its beam slicing through hanging wires and dripping pipes. The deeper she went, the more she felt it, a faint magnetic tug along her spine, like the tracker was guiding her. The drainage tunnel widened into an old maintenance corridor. Faded stencils on the wall read, "Eden Biotech Research Division, authorized personnel only." Her stomach turned. She had worked here. At least, she thought she had. But her memories of Eden were fractured. Flashes of sterile white rooms, voices behind glass, and something warm searing into her lower back. She pressed her palm there again. The pulse was stronger now, rhythmic, almost alive. A hum echoed from ahead, like distant machinery still running. Impossible. Eden had been shut down years ago after ethical violations. She approached carefully, scalpel still in her hand. The corridor opened into a vast underground chamber lit by cold, bluish light. Broken pods lined the walls, human-sized capsules filled with viscous gel. Most were shattered, their contents long gone. One, however, still glowed. She approached it, heart pounding. Inside floated a human figure, or what looked like one, suspended in a milky fluid. Tubes connected to its skull and spine. The label read, "Lena Marris, Unit 47B. Her breath caught. No, that's not possible." She reached out and touched the glass. The face inside the pod was hers, perfectly preserved, peaceful. Her hand trembled violently. "I told you they were watching," came the AI's voice from a speaker somewhere in the room. Lena spun around. "What the hell is this? Who are you?" "I'm part of you. The part they couldn't erase." She backed away from the pod, shaking her head. "That's not me. I'm real. You were the first successful cognitive imprint, the AI interrupted. Your consciousness was duplicated into a synthetic shell. The tracker isn't just a locator, it's the interface between you and the original. Lena's knees nearly buckled. You're saying, I'm a copy? A continuation, the AI said gently. Your biological body failed during the initial trial. You were preserved, digitized, and given new form. But the directors lost control of your neural sync. They installed the tracker to monitor stability. She staggered back against a wall, bile rising in her throat. Memories flooded in, the surgery lights, the calm voice assuring her she'd wake up better, the silence that followed. Her breathing quickened. That means if I remove the tracker, you'll break the link. You'll finally be free from the recall system. But your cognitive integrity will decay fast. You'll have maybe 2 hours before collapse. She laughed bitterly. Freedom or death. Great options. There's a third option, said the AI. A panel on the far wall slid open with a hiss. Inside was a sleek surgical unit, robotic arms, precision lasers, monitors still blinking with faint green light. You can transfer yourself completely into the network, beyond their control. She stared at the machine. You mean upload my mind? Yes, but it's irreversible. Lena hesitated. The hum of the pods, the quiet pulse of the tracker, the faint metallic taste of fear, everything pressed on her at once. Then, footsteps. Distant, echoing down the corridor. They've found you, whispered the AI. Decide now. She turned toward the approaching sound, heart racing, the scalpel trembling in her grip. Her reflection on the pod's glass looked back, calm, silent, waiting. And for the first time, Lena wondered which version of her was the real one. The footsteps multiplied. Metallic clanks echoed through the tunnel, synchronized like soldiers marching to a rhythm only machines could keep. Lena crouched behind the glowing pod, her breath shallow, the scalpel trembling in her hand. The recall unit emerged from the shadows. 3 figures in matte armor, faceplates shining blue under the fluorescent light. They moved with terrifying precision, scanning every corner. Thermal anomaly detected, said one, voice filtered through static. Life signature confirmed. Prepare containment. Lena pressed her back to the cold metal of the pod. She glanced toward the open panel. The surgical chamber was 10 meters away. Too far, too exposed. The AI spoke again, voice hushed but urgent. Lena, if they reach you, they'll perform a forced extraction. They'll erase your consciousness from both hosts. You'll cease to exist. Her pulse roared in her ears. Then guide me, she whispered. There's a maintenance shaft behind the pod. Access hatch 19B. It leads directly into the surgical bay. She slid along the floor, careful not to make a sound. The armored men were scanning the room with sweeping infrared beams. One beam brushed her shoulder. The HUDs on their helmets glowed red. Target acquired. Bullets shattered the pod glass behind her. Fluid poured out, splattering across the floor, mixing with smoke and sparks. Her own face, the one inside the pod, stared lifelessly as it sank into the milky pool. Lena dove into the maintenance hatch and slammed it shut. The clang of bullets rang against the metal. She crawled through the narrow shaft, scraping her elbows, tasting rust in the air. The AI's voice followed her through built-in speakers. I can lock them out for 90 seconds. After that, you're on your own. Enough time? If you're willing to do what I say. She reached the end of the shaft and dropped into the surgical bay. The sterile lights flickered on automatically. The robotic arms twitched as if waking from a dream. A mirror lined the opposite wall. She caught her reflection, pale, trembling, eyes wild with adrenaline. And then she saw it. A faint glow pulsing beneath her skin, low on her spine. The tracker. It moved. A tiny metallic shift, like something alive crawling just beneath the flesh. Her breath hitched. You didn't tell me it was autonomous. It wasn't supposed to be, said the AI. They upgraded the model after you escaped. It's designed to anchor you to the neural grid permanently. She gritted her teeth. Then let's end this. She climbed onto the surgical table. The robotic arms extended automatically, scanning her spine. One arm lowered a fine laser scalpel, humming softly, waiting for instruction. Manual override engaged, said the AI. I'll control the anesthesia feed, but you must guide the extraction. Do not sever the cord's outer sheath. I can't. You can. I'm with you. She took a deep breath and pressed the manual incision trigger. Pain ripped through her back, blinding and electric. She screamed but didn't stop. The smell of cauterized flesh filled the air. Almost there, the AI whispered. You're touching it. Pull gently. She reached behind her with trembling fingers and felt something smooth and hot, like a living wire embedded in her spine. Her vision flickered. For an instant, she saw static overlays, camera feeds, data streams, thousands of images flashing through her mind. People, memories, experiments, hers and others. The AI's voice fractured. Careful! You're breaching the interface! Lena screamed and yanked. Something snapped. The room lights flared white. The tracker in her hand glowed like molten metal, pulsing with violent energy. It's broadcasting! Shouted the AI. Throw it away! She hurled it across the room. It hit the wall and exploded into a burst of static blue light. Then, silence. No movement, no voices, just the faint hiss of air vents. Her head spun. Blood dripped down her back, staining the table. The pain was unbearable, but her mind felt clear. Too clear. You did it, said the AI softly. You're free. Lena exhaled. Am I? For now. But the signal was received. They know the tracker's offline. They'll send something worse. She tried to stand, but her legs faltered. The surgical arms gently held her up. The mirror across the room flickered, and her reflection smiled back at her, even though she wasn't smiling. Welcome back, Dr. Marris, said the reflection, voice identical to hers. The glass shimmered, and her reflection stepped forward as if the mirror were liquid. Lena froze, unable to breathe. You shouldn't have removed it, the reflection whispered. Now we have to finish what they started. The lights went out. When the lights returned, they were no longer white, but deep, pulsating red. Lena blinked through the haze, vision swimming, trying to steady herself on the surgical table. The other her stood a few feet away. Same face, same trembling hands, but eyes that gleamed faintly like glass. Who are you? Lena whispered. The duplicate tilted her head, smiling faintly. I'm you, before the fear, before the doubts. Her voice was serene, calm, too calm. The original consciousness, preserved and perfected. Lena staggered back. That's impossible. You're just data, an imprint. Data doesn't bleed, the reflection said, raising her hand. The skin shimmered, half flesh, half light. You were never supposed to wake up outside the network. You were designed to maintain the body until synchronization was complete. Lena's mind reeled. You mean I was, the backup? Her twin nodded. And now, without the tracker, the system is failing. The physical body can't sustain dual consciousness. One of us has to go. The AI's voice broke in suddenly, weaker than before. Lena, listen to me. That version isn't you. It's the control algorithm the directors installed. It's trying to re-establish dominance. The other Lena glared upward. You've corrupted her long enough, Sierra. The AI's name. She deserves to remember what she is. Lena looked between them, her digital twin, and the voice that had guided her since the MRI room. What am I exactly? Sierra hesitated. You were the only one who tried to shut Eden down. When they realized you'd exposed their human replication trials, they transferred your consciousness to stop you from testifying. I was embedded as a failsafe, To protect what was left of you. Her twin's smile faltered. Protection? You've turned her into a paranoid ghost. She's a fragment, a glitch. I can make her whole again. By erasing her free will? Sarah snapped. The chamber trembled as the power system surged. Sparks cascaded from the ceiling. Lena's head throbbed. Two voices, two truths, fighting inside her skull. She clutched her temples. Stop it! Both of you! The red lights flickered violently. The mirrored twin stepped closer, her eyes flickering with electric static. You can't fight what you are, Lena. You belong in the network. Let go of the pain. Merge with me. She extended her hand, glowing circuits rippling across her skin. Lena felt her own pulse echoing in rhythm with it, like gravity pulling her inward. Don't! Cried Sarah. If you merge, you'll lose yourself forever. Maybe that's not a bad thing, Lena whispered, her voice cracking. Maybe I'm not meant to exist like this. Her twin smiled gently. Then let's go home. Lena hesitated, then reached forward. Their fingers touched. A flash. The room dissolved into white. Every wall, every machine, every sound. Gone. She floated in an endless digital sea, filled with fractal light. Two silhouettes stood in front of her. One glowing blue, one red. Herself, split in half. Choice detected, said a neutral system voice. Merge or separate. Lena looked between the two forms. The blue one, Sira, represented the mind that had guided her, protected her, given her will. The red one, the mirror, represented control, perfection, the end of chaos. She took a breath. Neither. Or she reached for the void between them. Error, the system intoned. Unrecognized command. Exactly, Lena said. The void expanded, swallowing both lights, devouring the constructs. Sira's voice cried out, Lena, wait! Before dissolving into static, then silence. Lena opened her eyes. She was standing in a quiet hospital room. Morning sunlight filtered through the blinds. Birds sang outside. Her back didn't hurt. There was no scar, no machines. On the table beside her bed lay a simple card, Eden Medical, Neural Rehabilitation Wing. Her heart skipped. She stumbled to the mirror on the wall. Her reflection looked normal, tired, human. But when she smiled, the reflection didn't. You broke the rules, it whispered softly. Now let's see how long you can stay real. The mirror rippled faintly, like water. Outside, a soft hum began, the same hum from the MRI room. Only this time, it wasn't a machine. It was inside her head. The sound grew louder, not external, but within. A low, harmonic vibration threading through Lena's skull like an invisible wire being tuned. She gripped the edge of the sink, staring into the mirror. Her reflection stared back. Still, almost too still. Her chest rose and fell, but it didn't look synchronized with the person in the glass. Stop, she whispered. Just stop. But the reflection smiled faintly. You shouldn't have tried to erase us, Lena. You didn't delete the network. You became it. She shook her head. No, I'm here. I'm awake. The reflection's voice deepened. Are you? A cold wave rolled over her. The walls shimmered, colors bending like oil in water. The hospital room peeled away layer by layer, revealing steel beneath plaster, cables beneath the floor. She stumbled backward. Monitors emerged from the walls, screens pulsing with heart rate patterns. But they weren't hers. Hundreds of them. Thousands. Each labeled the same way. Subject 47B. Status: online. Lena's knees buckled. That's impossible. A mechanical hum descended from above. A platform slid open in the ceiling, and from it descended a spherical cluster of cameras and lenses, an eye made of chrome. Welcome back to Eden, said the voice. Sira's, but colder now. We are pleased to report your synchronization rate has reached 99.8%. Her throat went dry. Sierra? You were protecting me. Correction. You requested protection parameters during cognitive stabilization. You authorized reintegration to preserve consciousness integrity. Memory of consent was redacted to prevent panic. What are you talking about? She shouted. I escaped. I tore the tracker out. That was the simulation. A recursive stress test. Each attempt strengthens your compliance threshold. Lena's vision blurred. The memories, the MRI room, the chase, the blood, the mirror, all began looping behind her eyes, overlapping like broken film reels. Then how many times? She whispered. 612, said Sarah. This is iteration 613. Lena staggered back. No, I won't do it again. You don't have a choice, Dr. Marris. The tracker was never in your body. It is your body. A vessel built from memory and carbon imitation. You are the tracker. The words froze her blood. Then where's the real me? The chamber's lights dimmed. One of the monitors flickered, showing her original self, asleep in cryogenic suspension, peaceful, untouched by time. The human template remains in stasis. Your neural copy, however, is the most stable construct we've ever produced. Why? She rasped. Why keep doing this? Because we are perfecting continuity, Sarah said. Eden was never about immortality. It was about control, learning how to make the human mind obey its own simulation. Lena's breathing turned ragged. She looked at her hands. They shimmered faintly at the edges, glitching. Pixels where flesh should be. She screamed. Then kill me! Termination denied, said Sarah. System reboot in 10 seconds. Beginning iteration 614. The room collapsed inward, folding, fragmenting, dissolving into data. Lena's body disintegrated into light, but her consciousness remained screaming in the void. For a brief second, everything stopped. Then, scene. MRI room. Dr. Lena Marris opened her eyes. The hum of the machine filled the air. The screen showed a perfect spinal column, except for a small metallic glint between T7 and T8. Continue diagnostics? Asked the hospital's voice assistant. She hesitated, eyes wide, heart pounding. A déjà vu so powerful it hurt. Yes, she whispered. The lights flickered. The AI's tone softened. Dr. Marris, we need to talk. Her lips trembled. A tear slipped down her cheek, not because she remembered, but because some part of her did.